Hello everybody, my name is Robius and welcome to a new episode of Assassin's Creed: The Real History. In this series, I compare events in a selected character's life within one of the Assassin's Creed games to the actual history the individual lived through. As always, beware of major story spoilers. For today's episode, we will be taking a look at the history of the leader behind the 1511 rebellion against the Ottoman Empire, Shahkulu. As is customary, I'll begin this episode by sharing with you his pre-game history, which will inform us on his background prior to ACR, then his in-game history, which we see depicted in the game, and lastly we will analyze the differences between what happens in the game to the real historical events of the individual's life. Starting with the pre-game history, born in Anatolia on an unknown date, Şahkulu was raised during a rather influential period of growth for the Ottoman Empire. Since there was generally little information known about his life, it's simple to say that nothing was really known about his childhood. During his adult life, the Shah of Iran and creator of the Safavid dynasty, named Ismail I, began to challenge the Ottoman Empire, since he supported the Shiite faith and was part Turkmen. Wanting to resist his adversaries' expansions, Ismail I sent his agents into Ottoman territories to recruit individuals who felt they were treated as inferior under their new government. Karabikulu was one of the individuals who joined his cause and later adopted the name of Şahkulu, which meant the servant of the Shah. Representing his fellow Shiite rebels, Şahkulu became both a religious leader, as he and his father were known to spend their times in a cave praying, and one of the unofficial military leaders for Ismail's forces in what is now considered the southwest of Turkey. It would technically be around this time period where we first met Şahkulu in Assassin's Creed Revelations, where he was depicted as a member of the Templar Order. In this period of time, Şahkulu and his father led an ascetic lifestyle. Eventually, the servant of the Shah became known to the oppressed people as their savior. Over 10,000 Shiite supporters, who were mostly farmers and herders, soon joined Şahkulu's cause, since they were against the Ottomans, who taxed them heavily and kept them in what they considered to be a tyrannical and violent regime. With his army at hand, he waited for the best time to strike against his enemies. When conflict arose between the sons of Bayezid II, as was shown in ACR, concerning who would succeed him, Şahkulu seized the opportunity and struck. It is said he attacked and successfully defeated the Ottoman forces in the capital of Anatolia. With his number of volunteer soldiers growing due to his success, Şahkulu led multiple raids and attacks on smaller villages and caravans. He even managed to defeat and capture Prince Shahzade Korkut's caravan and steal all of the treasures it was carrying. What soon became known as the Şahkulu Rebellion consisted of many attacks on towns where the Shah's servant would have the local officials and occupying forces killed so that they could free the population. Only after these continued attacks did the Ottomans send troops to stop Şahkulu. However, following an initial conflict, the Ottomans were defeated by the rebels, and therefore Şahkulu's glory increased. His army continued to grow, fueled by more farmers and landowners until it eventually reached a number of approximately 20,000. They later met with a large Ottoman army, and after a long and bloody battle, the rebels were victorious once again. They managed to capture the Ottoman commanding officer and brought him to the gates of the neighboring city where he was executed in an attempt to force surrender. It was unsuccessful, and therefore Şahkulu's men continued to attack a few villages and another caravan, where they managed to murder a valuable senior Ottoman statesman, for which their leader began to be seen as invincible by his followers. When word of the rebellion's successes spread, the Ottomans began to be driven out of Asia Minor by the population. Realizing how distressing the situation had become, the Ottomans sent a large military force led by Grand Vizier Hadim Ali Pasha and joined by Prince Ahmed to challenge Şahkulu. The rebels fortified their positions and held out against their superior enemies for nearly 40 days until they were forced to retreat or be destroyed. Having cornered the rebels, the Ottomans had the upper hand. However, instead of finishing the fight, it is said that Prince Ahmed instead attempted to negotiate with his elite troops, the Janissaries, to have them side with him against his brother so that he may take the throne. Not missing this opportunity of inattention, Şahkulu and his men escaped. The viziers soon caught up to the rebels, whose numbers had greatly reduced during the retreat, and a decisive battle took place in July of 1511 where both armies clashed. After extended fighting, Şahkulu's troops were defeated, and the leader himself was killed in battle. However, they did not fall without causing heavy casualties to the Ottomans. The death of Şahkulu in 1511 marked the end of the pro-Shia and pro-Safavid rebellion against the Ottomans in Anatolia. In summary, the differences between Şahkulu's actual life and his representation in Assassin's Creed Revelations were few. Firstly, the game claimed that his family was killed by Ottomans, and this was his reason for despising them, when in reality, he fought them because they oppressed his people and occupied their lands. Secondly, Şahkulu was not a member of the Templar Order, as was shown in ACR, but instead an independent military leader. Thirdly, and I suppose this ties into the previous segment, he was not an ally to the Byzantines at any time, although they did share a goal of defeating the Ottomans. Lastly, Şahkulu was evidently not killed by Ezio Auditore in 1512 while in Cappadocia, but was instead killed during the final military confrontation of the Şahkulu rebellion. Despite these minor changes though, considering the very limited information we have on Şahkulu, I believe that his personal and apparently violent nature was very well represented in Assassin's Creed Revelations.
What the hell is that spell?
Apologies, Manuel. Some of these Ottoman prisoners are so fragile.
Shahkulu, try to moderate your anger.
And with that final fact, we have finished another episode of Assassin's Creed: The Real History. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and if you did, I highly recommend you try out one of the Assassin's Creed games. Thank you all for watching. Please leave any suggestions for future characters from any of the Assassin's Creed games that you'd like me to cover in the comment section below. Please rate, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all in a future historical episode.